Welcome to the CascadiaSports.net Seahawks post-game report. I'm Oz Vita Mara Ere, and the Seahawks are now 0-2 in the preseason. And today's contest was just wasn't good enough. Pete Carroll talked about it. Some of the players talked about it, but they lose 27-11. Poor tackling, slow offensive start, and I would just say slow offense all the way around. In the first half, the Seahawks had 7 possessions. 5 ended were punts, a missed field goal, and the other one ended on downs right before the half. Things didn't get any better in the second half. 9 possessions, 1 touchdown, 1 field goal, which was 27 yards by Jason Myers, and then 7 punts. And, of course, the other one was at the end of the game, end of downs again. The culprit was poor tackling. Pete Carroll talked about it on special teams. They just couldn't tackle, and he said, you know what, we're going to take a look at the film, and we got to get people here that can tackle. And the other thing, well, let's take a look at what Pete Carroll had to say about the Seahawks' poor tackling.
And there just seems to be so many lessons for us right here. We got a big list, and there's some really obvious things in just trying to win a football game. That the penalties and special teams giving us the 100 yards of returns or something like that, setting up scores and all. It's really hard to win when you play like that. It's hard enough anyway. So there's big lessons, and I have to really zero in on the guys that are having the problems. Like Charles had problems on the line of scrimmage in this game. Had 4 penalties on procedure penalties and stuff that you obviously can clean up in all little different situations. But though we have to get that out of your football. You can't play football like that. It's bad. And so we'll learn a lot here. I'm not going to make any evaluation about turning it around for the Thursday night. Maybe we have to do that during the season. This is just what you have to do. We have to do it better than we did, regardless of what the travel was or whatever. That's no excuse. You have to get it done and come on. Both teams have to play fast. So we'll learn from this. Didn't play again tonight, and we're still working our way through that, figure out what happens for us this week coming up. So one of the things I have to evaluate is where are the errors coming from, how meaningful is it? Our leverage on a return game is really bad this day, especially for 2 weeks in a row. And I don't remember us ever looking like that. So there's some things that some things in some people there'll be some changes, and we'll make those decisions as we go. We find a really cool week. This is a full week for us. We can get prepared, have good practices, and get our work done, and really take our time getting through the week and the installation of the game plans and all that. So we'll really appreciate how that works, and then we'll come back after that with some really good time that we need. We need every minute of it. The thing I have to stay up on is where we going, and I know that a lot of the guys that are not playing would make some really nice plays for us, and they would be making some tackles and some hits and some catches, and we're counting on those guys. But otherwise, you look at the game. It was not a great game for us at all.
It just wasn't good enough, right? There's just no other way to put it. Can they get better? Sure. But like Pete said, look, we're not going to blame the short turnaround. And he looked like a man that wasn't perplexed, wasn't troubled, but, is really looking, like he said, we will have to evaluate where we're going. And part of what Carroll had talked about off camera was, look, a lot of our players didn't play, but now we have to figure out how we manage and get everybody together, right? No DK, no Tyler. I mean, they played in the first series, but how do you put all those players together and then get a rhythm in your last preseason game, which is next week at Dallas, and then you have 2 weeks, but you got to build some type of synergy here on offense and also on defense. And poor tackling, bad execution was really the culprit today as the Seahawks lose 27-11 to the Chicago Bears.